everybody, and welcome to the next episode of the Wayward Lasses All the Things podcast. I'm Brittany, joined by my sister Courtney.
Hello, sister.
Hello, sister, and our mother Amy.
Hello, ladies.
Hello, mother. So today we are going to be talking about an experience that my mom went through recently about being laid off. She didn't get laid off.
To clarify.
To clarify, I also have lost my voice because last weekend was my brother's birthday and I got too wild and screamed too much.
Look at your volume.
When I get excited, oh my gosh, I'll lower the gain. When I get excited, I scream. Anyway, so before we do that, I am going to do some trivia. It's going to be me today, and the topic is Monsters, Inc.
I love it.
Here we go. Some of these are easy. What is Sully's full name?
James P. Sullivan.
Very good. Excellent.
Which
In what city is Monsters, Inc. set?
In?
Oh, sorry, that was my watch. Let me just put myself on mute here.
Oh, I don't know. Just
I know.
town.
I'm giving mom some time.
I don't know.
She doesn't know. I mean, it's multiple choice.
Oh, well, give us the multiple choice. What?
Well, she's getting you without it, so why should I give it?
Oh, so give me a chance.
But she already knows the answer.
Okay.
What is it, Court?
Monstropolis.
Correct. What is Mike Wazowski's girlfriend called?
Oh, with the Jenna.
Who's Jenna?
Mike Wazowski's girlfriend.
Incorrect. Courtney?
Celia.
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 Celia May. All right. What year was Monsters, Inc. released? That's why I asked when Sammy was born.
2005?
It's 2001.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I remember watching it with Sammy, but I guess it already had been out for a while.
For a few
That's
years.
true. Oh, that is true.
At the beginning of Monsters, Inc., who was the top scarer in the company?
Oh, that mean guy. The mean guy.
This is not
Roger.
gonna go well for you.
Roger. Isn't it Roger? Say yes.
No.
Sully was the top scarer.
Sully.
He wasn't.
Yes, he was.
Oh.
What is the
Roger.
motto? That's why his name is Randall. That is
Randall.
why
Roger.
it's close to the R.
Imagine a monster named
Close
Roger.
to the R. Roger. That's why he's so angry the whole movie because Sully's always been the top scarer.
Okay.
What is the motto of Monsters, Inc.? I'll give you the multiple
Scare.
choice. Ready?
Oh, you said it.
Scare.
Oh, I thought you said it to me. Oh,
That's their motto. Scare.
I know it.
Go ahead.
Can I
Say it.
be
No,
silent?
just give me it. I know.
You're-
Give me the...
Your nightmares are our bread and butter. Scream dreams. We scare because we care. Arg.
The second one.
Scream dreams?
We scare
Your final
because we
answer?
care.
Yes. We
Arg.
scare because we care.
We scare because we care.
All right. Multiple choice. What color is Boo's bedroom door? Yellow with red stripes, white with pink flowers, blue, red with white spots. I hear David.
Is that
Oh, I'm
blue,
sorry.
red with white spots one thing?
Yellow with red stripes, option A. White with pink flowers, option B. Blue, option C. Red with white spots is option
red.
D.
Red with white spots.
Final answer?
Sure.
Court?
White with pink flowers.
It's white with pink flowers.
Oh. It was a
What
long
does,
time ago since I watched it.
what does code 2319 mean?
2319! Got like something from the other side stuck on you or made it through to the side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently the answer is white sock.
Oh, yeah, the white sock stuck on the back of him.
Yeah. Who was banished to the Himalayas? Welcome to the Himalayas.
Vandal. Oh,
I feel like
wait.
Steve would get all of these right.
He would. He would.
Abominable. Me. Imagine that. Abominable
Oh.
snowman.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh.
Oh, dear.
Oh, let's
Okay.
just go into the...
At the end of Monsters, Inc., what does the company use instead of screams to power Monstropolis?
Laughter.
Correct. Okay, here, Mom. What does the abominable snowman offer Mike and Sully in the Himalayas?
A sled?
I'll give you the options. I already zoomed on past it. A bag of crisps, pizza, a sleeping bag, snow cones.
Snow cones.
Yes, remember they're yellow?
They're lemon.
Lemon. Here you go, Mom.
Okay.
Which character wants to defeat Sully to become the top scarer at Monsters Inc.? Yes. And what's Randall's special skill, Mom?
He slithers.
Running, jumping, invisibility, or screeching?
Oh, running, jumping, invisibility.
What?
Were those all three different ones?
Running?
Invisibility.
Yes. What is the name of the slug-like grump who works at Monsters, Inc.? You forgot to file your paperwork.
What the heck's her name? Marge. Not Marge. I don't know, Courtney. Go ahead.
Roz.
Roz, my sweet.
Roz.
You look beautiful today.
Did you do something with your hair?
Did you so much hair?
It's flowing.
I know that movie. I do. Oh, well. Maybe I should.
All right. Well, that sums up the trivia. I think it is clear who the winner is here. Thanks for playing. All right, so let's go ahead and hop into today's episode. Mother, would you give us some a background into why this came up as a topic, and let us know what happened?
Yeah, so I work for a corporate company. There is, I guess, over 2,000 people that work for the company globally. And prior to that, I actually worked for another company, CA, which at one point was 20,000, and then it just pared down to like 10,000, and then lower and lower. In any case, this past week, when you get one of those meetings on your calendar, attend if you can, and you see that it's your manager, your manager's manager, and his manager, and the whole organization is invited without any notice, something's going on, right? So unfortunately, they did some layoffs at my company, and there were two people that I knew that were let go. And it was tough for the organization to hear, because they were a pretty integral part of, one of them was the organization, and one was a person who was actually acquired probably less than a year ago. And I thought about how they must have felt, because I actually had gotten laid off when I was at CA. And I texted you guys to like, hey, we should talk about layoffs, because I think this is something real that is happens too frequently. And I don't know like how people actually deal with it. For me, I think I was lucky when I had gotten laid off, because I was with the company for almost 20 years. So I got a great severance package, and I knew it was coming. So I had the type of management that would be transparent with their team, and then say, if you can find something within the company, great, start planning, or start planning now, right? So that by the time that time rolls around, you guys are prepared. But for those people who have gotten laid off, I can't even imagine you get laid off the same day that they tell you you're no longer needed as part of the company, we're letting you go. I can't even imagine how somebody can handle that, especially I think the thing that really stood out was, what if you don't have a backup plan? Like, what do you do? I don't know, Courtney, I think you said that you had experienced a layoff one time in your career. Like how did that come about? How did you react to that? And what were you able to do when that was?
I was almost 19.
Okay.
I worked for a company for a few years, and it really wasn't. I mean, I guess I don't know what is the difference between being fired and being let go. Is there a difference between
So
when
fired is you have cause, like you've done
Okay.
something that you haven't met as far as a goal that was set before you. And typically, if the company's on the up and up, they do a write up of you so that you have an opportunity to improve. They don't just let you go. That's usually
Gotcha.
in corporate what happens.
So I was not, it was a small company. I was not in a corporate setting. And basically, I was one of two administrative staff that the company had. I had Sammy. I did not have money for childcare. And I had been working through with New York. New York State has a lot of programs to help single parents or low income parents, which I was at the time. But it's a lot of paperwork to get it started. Once it gets started, it's fine. But to get everything you need to get it started, it took me a long time. I didn't have the means to pay for childcare. I didn't have family around. And so basically my employer, great, great man, absolutely loved him. He loved me, but he needed somebody there full time. And I kept calling out or showing up hours late because I would have friends come and help me, help me. But because I wasn't paying them and they were helping me out, they would show up when they could.
Yeah.
So if I was supposed to be at work at 8 and I had people show up at 9, 10, 11, he was like, look, I just need somebody here at the time and I don't want to do this, but I have to. So I guess, I don't know if that's considered, I guess it's considered being fired because he had cause to fire me, but it wasn't a bad, it wasn't like a negative interaction, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I had no backup plan. I was 19 years old. I was a single mom. I had no savings account, nothing. So that was a very difficult moment for me. And I just basically lived on people's couches and scrambled for money and applied to a bunch of places till I found another job. So I'm grateful that I was surrounded by people at the time that were able to take me in and help me with Sammy. But it was a really unique situation. So absolutely devastated, though. I mean, there's that moment of pure panic when you're a young mom and you're like, what am I gonna do? I lived on ramen noodles, cup of noodle soup, frozen mama teas, frozen pierogies.
Oh my gosh.
So we had to do that for a little while. But like I said, I was surrounded by people who kind of, and in that moment, your pride is kind of hurt. This is a whole topic for another episode. I don't want to get off topic, but as a young mom, I wanted to prove myself.
Right.
And I didn't want to ask for help. It was a pride thing because it was like, now I really can't do this. And I didn't want to admit that to anybody. So it was difficult for me to ask for help. But and like I said, I was surrounded by people who did come to my rescue and helped me through that difficult time. But I did not have a backup plan. I didn't even see it coming.
Yeah, I think that has to be the most difficult thing is when you don't see it coming, which is why I think it's always good to have some type of backup plan. I think that's why for me at least, trying to find different sources of income. So God forbid if that ever did happen, I have something to fall back on type of thing.
Yeah.
But I can't even imagine if you're a single mother and you go through that. I would be devastated. I can't even imagine.
Yeah. I think it's a bunch of bogusness that a company can lay you off without any warning, but you are, I wouldn't say required, but typically it is good faith for you to put in a 2 weeks notice. Mm-hmm. So you put in a 2 weeks notice that the company can prepare to replace you, but they can lay you off without a notice. That's just crazy to me. That shouldn't be allowed.
Yeah, I don't know what the rules are for that. I know over in Europe, it's like almost hard to like lay people off or fire somebody. I forgot there's just so many rules and hoops that you have to jump through to actually let somebody go. But yeah, I would agree with you. Like they can just let you go the same day.
Yeah, that's an issue. I think that's an issue and that's a flaw in our system. But I can I've never been laid off or fired from a job before, so I'm thankful for that. But I can relate to you in like that moment of panic. When I left my teaching job, it was my decision to leave. And there was that overall panic of, okay, I'm leaving my job. This is my choice. I've spent, 6 years of my life in school for this, if not more. Now what? I remember I just, I had this like fire go off inside of me. I got down a notebook and I just started writing ways that I could start making money. And I had a whole list and I started going through them and researching them. Okay, how can I set up this Etsy shop? And okay, I'm good at cleaning. How could I set up a cleaning business? Okay, selling clothes online is a thing. And I started researching everything and figuring out ways that I could make sources of income. So I would say to anybody out there just listening, just do that, even if you have security in your job. It is always important to have multiple sources of income. I can't remember who it was that said it, but like all millionaires and billionaires have at least 7 streams of income. And that was one of the reasons why I started doing is 1, I needed to find a job, but 2, I want residual income constantly coming in. And it's hard to do at first. And it does take time. It does take research. But once you start getting the hang of it and you have these sources of income, if something like that were to happen where you get laid off, you have a backup. And I say now with all this AI stuff coming out, a lot of people are getting laid off because AI can do a lot of it now. There's not really a reason for some positions anymore. But I was fortunate. Yeah, I was fortunate. Nobody's dying to become a teacher. AI can't really replace it as much as, in person, things like that. So I've been very fortunate in that. But those are my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, they say I went through this in 2005, so I did not have the luxury of, Googling things and doing online things at the time because that was not a thing. So I ended up at Starbucks. That was the first place that hired me. But I think, I'm sorry, you probably hear a lot of background noise right now. Apologize for that. Anyway,
it's a lively house.
When I found out this is a topic we were going to be talking about, I brought it up with David, and we were talking about how, like, we're both comfortable in our jobs. However, like, even though you may never expect to be laid off, I think it's a good mindset to have that, like, it could happen. And so you should always be prepared with some kind of a backup plan. And one of the things that I do is I always have my resume, like, current and make sure that it's, like, updated and current. And I'm always not looking and shopping for jobs, not that, but always kind of just like checking LinkedIn or checking the industry and seeing what's out there. So I think it's always good to do that, to keep you're not actively looking for a job, but to always have that in mind. Like, while I may be comfortable in my position, there's always a chance that I can get let go. You never know. So always just keep that resume handy and have a backup plan.
And I think, though, nowadays, people don't necessarily stay in one job. It's actually common to, like, leave a company every, 3-4 years and maybe even less. Whereas, a while ago, people would actually start in a job and then retire in that same job. You don't have that anymore. So
that's a red flag for me, though. Like, so I'm a recruiter. That's my job now, is I hire people. And if I see on their resume that they jump ship every year or two, I'm like, that's a red flag. I asked them about that too. I'm like, so can you explain to me why you keep hopping? And, sometimes I catch them in, I don't know, what maybe feels like a lie or something. But I mean, for me, if I'm looking at your resume, I'm probably going to pass on you.
Yeah.
Even if you have credentials to be.
I think, though, would you say it would depend on the industry that you're in? So if it's sales, right? And salespeople have quotas they have to reach. And if they can't reach that quota, then guess what? They're going to be let go. So,
well, then why would somebody else want to hire them in a sales position?
Because maybe the goals were too lofty. Or,
I think it's a red flag. When I was hiring people, it was a red flag for me, but I'm going to ask the question.
Yeah.
And depending on your answer, maybe you have a legitimate reason. And then,
right.
we can.
And some people do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people do, like, or my wife is in the Army and we had to move every 2 years or something along, they're if they have a good reason or explanation, I'm okay, that makes sense. But if there's no rhyme or reason, it's like I worked at Burger King for 2 years and I worked at UPS for a year and then I worked at Walmart for a year. And it's like, well, those are pretty straight. There's no really sales types of things. Like something's happening,
Yeah.
So definitely a red flag. But I agree with Courtney. I'm definitely going to bring that up in a conversation. I would say, it's made me think of this. One of my really close friends actually was kind of going through this phase of she thought she was going to be let go because they were letting people go in the company that she worked for. And then she's so funny. She's like, I'm just going to pull a Brittany and I'm going to leave my job. I was like, hold on. Like, that's not exactly what I did. I thought about this, I had plans. But she is kind of going through this thing now where they have her on this like 60-day plan, I think it is, and they're reviewing her. And she has been at like the second longest person at that company. So what she actually told me she's doing now is she is keeping track of everything. She's keeping track of logs and phone conversations and emails and, how like she is in a call center and, answering. So like a question, one of the topics that came up was essentially, why are there so many dropped calls and who is taking these calls and who's doing this? So she, it's 60 days and she's in day 7. She's like, I have a log of everything. So I would say that to our listeners, keep if you feel that your position, you might be let go, keep logs of things. If you're under review for something, start keeping track of the things that you're doing. But also, if you are comfortable, keep track of the successes that you have. Keep track of the statistics and keep track of the projects that you have been doing and the things that you have implemented that have brought positive change to the company. So if anything were ever to happen, you have this arsenal behind you saying, okay, I see where you're coming from, and I understand that, but, here is my track record. Could you kind of explain to me how, based on this, your reasons, I don't know, are legitimate or make sense?
We're just doing away with your position.
Did you finish reading that book? Well, did you finish?
Go ahead.
Which one?
Never Split the Difference.
I'm almost done.
I finished it today, and we should do a whole episode on that, but I think if you're just closing the position, then I think I have always. Actually, go ahead, Courtney, if you have something to say on that, because I'm about to go on a whole different tangent.
I was just going to say that I know someone who recently was in a position and was doing great in the position and just randomly got called in and was like, they had like a corporate office, and the corporate office decided that they were going to centralize the position and they were going to basically absorb this person's position into this new thing. And they were like, sorry, that was it. It was nothing that they did wrong. They weren't even like downsizing. It was just the company was reorganizing the department, and it eliminated the need for that person's job.
And that's what happened with Steve. There was a restructuring at the upper level, and they were doing away with middle management. And it's not like he did anything wrong. He implemented a lot of good things, but kind of like they didn't need the middle management anymore. So
I feel like it'd be safe to say, I mean, because I've never been put in this position, this immediately came to my head. If someone was going to say, okay, we're just letting you go because we're dissolving the position, I'd be like, okay, I would like a letter of recommendation then, please.
And I'm sure they would give it. Yeah, I'm sure they would give
but like you're putting me out, you didn't give me a notice. You're getting rid of my job, my whole livelihood. Like I can't live without, my income. I would like a recommendation, please. And if you have, maybe some other companies that you think I'd be a good fit for, like, I just feel like as an employer, you have a responsibility to an extent to help your employees out. You can't just lay them off.
I think it's
crazy.
The type of person you are as far as a manager goes and what you're actually allowed to tell your employees. Like when I was let go, we were told, this is what's going to happen. I knew I was targeted because I worked from home, right? Everybody else was in the office, and this was pre-COVID. But they were very transparent, whereas I think this company could have done a little better job. The reason I say that is because this one woman, like I said, she was an integral part of our organization, but they were opening up other positions within the organization that she could have potentially filled that role. I think she could have, based on what I know about her experience. I don't know, but at least give somebody the opportunity to find within the company if there's any other roles that she could actually, do well or has experience with. So I really think it depends on management and what they're allowed to share.
Yeah.
I don't know because I've never been in the position to have to, let somebody go and how that works. So I don't know. I like the suggestions that you ladies put out there, keeping your resume current, because honestly, you never do know. Mm-hmm. As comfortable as you may feel in your job, you could get like a call next week, like, hey, we have to do budget cuts, and
And this is not to
XYZ.
instill, I just want to like interject for a second. I don't want to like make people afraid, like, oh my God,
Yeah.
should I be? We're not saying to like have that posture where you're just fearful, but I do think it's smart to always be prepared, you know?
Be prepared.
Yeah. So sorry, Mom, continue. So keeping your resume current, being aware of the trends going on in your industry is super important. Like Brittany mentioned, AI. Are you in an industry where AI is taking over? It's important to know
Yeah.
that. That might be,
Absolutely.
you know, something that you should pay attention to.
I think you
Yeah.
should also always keep yourself updated with skills. If your company offers you like free training, heck yeah, take that free training, add it to your resume, sharpen your skills, get up to date on what's happening. You know, don't feel so comfortable that you are not going to learn what the newest software out there is, or you know what the latest CRM is, or social media, how to get on there and start, you know, working social media, whatever it might be. If your company's offering training, take it because you never know.
Yep, I got that from teaching. I'm a lifelong learner. Always. Like that's just how it needs to be. Once you learn something and you've got the position doesn't mean it's over.
Yeah.
Things are constantly happening. AI, there are new, even when it came to teaching, there's always like a new website or there's this new book or there's this new whatever it is. You're constantly having to learn. And the second that you think, okay, I've learned it all, I'm good, that's when you become, what is the word I'm looking for? That's when someone's going to overpass you and kind of trash you away because there is always something to learn. It's constant development.
Yeah. And sometimes it's that little new skill that you've learned that can set you apart, that can make management say, oh no, we definitely need her. You know, let's reevaluate the people on the short list.
Yeah. And that's what I try to do. I think I've always done that as I try to make myself invaluable. Is that the right word? Yeah. I will always go above and beyond to make sure, like in my head, I try to make myself like, they can't get rid of me. Like they will crumble and fail if they get rid of me. I think that's just my mindset of how I work, the work ethic I put into it, the continuous development that I do to make sure that I'm better at it. All of those things. That's just kind of like my mindset going into is how can I always constantly be the best that I can be at this position so that it's never a question of my value and my worth and my position.
Yeah.
I agree.
I'll comment to that, but I think that this could be a whole another conversation. I find also that sometimes the mentality of the generation of today is that my employer needs to keep me.
They need
My
me.
employer, but the thought is, well, my employer needs to do something to make sure I stay.
Oh.
You know, my job is done at 5:00. And do I think that you should be required to stay past your clock, your time? No, I'm not saying that in order to make yourself valuable, you have to work overtime. That's not what I'm saying. But the only word I could think of in my head is like just posture. Like there's just a posture that you take when you are taking your job seriously and you understand, you know, it's not just what can you do for me? Well, you're not doing anything for me, so I'm not going to do anything for you type of thing. But I find that with not all, so I don't want to overgeneralize and put every single person in that category, but I have come in contact personally with many people who that is their mindset, where it's like, well, this company doesn't do anything for me or blah, blah, blah. So, and they don't care. The second thing I was going to say is if you can, I know it's not always possible, but if you can, put money away each paycheck and slowly start a savings, but also like diversify where you're putting your money. And you can do stocks. You can do research because you can put your money in a place where your money will grow. And then that can also be a little safety net for you. It doesn't even have to be a lot of money. It could just be a little bit every paycheck or a little bit that you put away. But at least if you run into a situation or an emergency where you've been let go and you don't have anywhere to turn, you've got a little bit of a cushion there. And another topic we could talk about another day is budgeting. Because I bet if you sat down and you really budgeted, you would find lots of places where you can cut back spending. I think they say like 20% of your income should go towards your savings account.
Your savings.
Like
Pay yourself
50%, 50% towards essentials. I don't know what it is. You have to look it up. 50% towards essentials, 30% towards non-essentials, and then 20% to savings. So I challenge you to do that. Get out a calculator and spend some time just going through your finances and seeing, is that something that you can do?
Even like a high yield savings account. I started one this year, or like a Roth IRA.
Yes.
I mean, I'll be straight. We should do a whole other episode on this, but I've never had savings. I've always had like $25 in there because that's the minimum you can have in order to keep
your
it open.
savings account open.
Yeah. And I started listening to this podcast called the what is it called? Financial Feminist. And she kind of talks about how the stigma of a lot of it is females don't need to know money. Like men know money, females don't need to know money. And she's like, she is completely against all that. So I definitely recommend our listeners to take a listen to that, and you guys take a listen to that too. But she talks about like you should always have like 3 months of savings always in the bank just in case something happens. I'm like, oh my God, I have $25. Somebody help me. Right? Right. So but there are always things that we can do to make ourselves more knowledgeable, especially when it comes to those financial things. We should do another episode on it. We should get her on the podcast.
We should. There are a couple of financial influencers that I follow too. Like the information's out there, guys. Like there was a time in history where this was hard information to come by, but if you just do a little bit of research, you could really learn a lot about how to handle your finances. And a lot, like David and I did this thing once where our bank account allowed us to do like a little pie chart and show us where we were spending most of our money. This is back when we lived in New York before Emma. And it was like an ungodly amount of money going out to eat food and drinking. And I was like we could have saved so much money before we had the little ones. And we did not. And not that there was a time for that. We traveled, we did a whole bunch of things, and we enjoyed life. I'm sorry, there's screaming in the background. You're definitely gonna hear that. Sorry, everybody. But anyway, I even lost my train of thought from the scream. I'm gonna be quiet now. You guys take over.
I agree with you. The same thing happened to us. And there's two flip sides of it. It's one, it's like, oh my God, we could have been saving all this money. But two, I don't regret any of it, right? We got to have these experiences. We got to live through these things. We got to do these things together. Retrospection, I wish I could have saved some of it. Like, for example, in college, I would get a refund check back every semester, and it'd be like $4 or $5 grand. I'm like, oh my God, like I'm going to pay off rent for the entire year, and then I'm just going to do whatever with this money. And nobody told me, no one taught me.
You have to pay that back.
Yes. No one taught me that. And if I had just saved that money and put it away, I'm like 85 grand in student debt, but that's like the whole thing about college is I was the first person really to go away to college in our family like that. So nobody really knew, right? I mean, like they went through mom and dad for me to get the FAFSA and things like that, but nobody really coached me. No one said, hey, you should save this. You should save that money. It's just, when you call it a refund check, you're just like, oh, it's a refund. Oh, this is great. It's fantastic. I'm rich. Yes.
Now, have you ever heard that saying, youth is wasted on the young?
Yes.
I'm telling you, man, like, I wish somebody would send me a $4,000 refund check right now. That would be great.
Oh my gosh.
What I would do.
I'd pay off some credit cards.
Yep.
But yeah, I think that's probably a whole other conversation of the way they just rob kids in college.
That's a whole nother topic.
That's a whole nother topic.
So I think what we also have determined is we've got like 6 more topics to talk about.
Is anybody writing these down?
Did you write it down? I'll have to write it down when I play it back and
okay, you're gonna write it down when you play
it back.
All right.
Well, in the meantime, so we're saying have a backup plan, guys. It's we don't want to make you fearful that you're going to get laid off, but hey, in today's day and age, anything can happen. But there are resources out there for you. We will put them in the show notes for you. Recap. What did we say? Keep your resume current. Be aware of trends in your industry. Try to diversify your income and have multiple sources of income. Do a little budgeting. Take a look at your finances. Start a savings account.
Yes. Keep track of your successes and the things that you're implementing and doing. So when it does come time to update your resume, you already have that information.
And one other point I want to make, and this is just like an overarching, I think, theme in life, period, is because it's true. Is you're not going to get the results you want financially tomorrow. You're not even going to get it probably in a week or two. If you're going to put money away slowly to build a savings account, it's going to take time. If your credit score is bad and you're trying to rebuild it, it's going to take time. Yeah. These things that we're saying to do financially, like we're not telling you to go tomorrow and change everything in your in your life. So just make small, we always say, make small, sustainable changes. Don't just stop eating out altogether and be like, we're never eating out again because I need to save money. Like, be reasonable. Do your research, and we'll definitely share some resources with you guys.
Yeah.
Awesome. Anybody else? Courtney, would you like to close us out?
I should have just kept going, huh?
You should have just kept going.
Just kept going. I was on a roll there. Well, anyway.
You are.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. You know that we love you guys. We love you. Thank you for your support. I just lost my words. I don't know what that was about. That was really weird. Anyway, be sure to like and subscribe on all the things. And until next time, we are the Wayward Lasses, reminding you to keep it real. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for stopping by.
Stay classy. I keep saying keep it classy.